Not every dream comes to everyone. There are dreams that appear only to a few, the souls with a mission. They are not the chaotic fragments of daytime memory, nor meaningless floating images from the subconscious. They come as a calling, a mission dream, marking that your presence in this life is not random. If you have ever awakened from a dream where light shone directly upon you and a voice whispered, "You have a mission," then know this: it was not an illusion. It was a reminder that you were sent here to do something greater than yourself. These dreams always carry an urgent quality. They do not comfort you. They push you out of old safety, placing you before a choice. Either ignore it and continue living as before, or listen and step into the journey of a chosen soul. In this video, we will decode the mission dream, why it is not random, why it comes only to those who resonate with a mission, and why it never arrives for amusement, but to deliver responsibility. And stay until the end, because I will share with you a true story about an ordinary person who, after a dream, heard the calling, and from that moment followed a mission that changed their entire life. There are dreams that are fleeting, faint, vanishing the moment morning light appears. But there are also dreams that cut deep, cling tightly, and never leave the mind. These are called destiny dreams, dreams that do not come to entertain, do not come to mirror the chaos of memory, but come to leave an indelible mark upon a life. And most extraordinary of all, there is a type of dream so strange that when you awaken, you know it was not just a dream, it was a calling. Picture an ordinary night. You go to bed as usual, expecting nothing different. But when the door of dreaming opens, the scene before you is unlike anything you have ever known. A vast expanse, silent yet radiant. No sound of daily life, no familiar figure, only profound stillness. And from above, a stream of light shines straight down, enveloping your entire being. That light does not blind, but makes you feel at once small and upheld. And then, in that moment, a voice resounds, not loud, not shouting, but echoing from deep within your marrow. You have a mission. Those who experience this dream often awaken with an inexplicable shock. The heart pounds, the breath shortens, the body runs cold. Yet at the same time, there is certainty. Their life cannot continue as before. One person recounted, "I jolted upright in the dark, my heart on the verge of exploding. I did not fully understand, but I knew. Yesterday I hesitated, but today I have been called, and I can never go back." The destiny dream, the dream of destiny, often shares a common structure across many people. The stream of light, the whisper, the feeling of being chosen. It is not disordered like everyday dreams, not filled with meaningless fragments. On the contrary, it is coherent, sequential, almost ritualistic. The dreamer enters it as though passing through a sacred gate. And when they return, they carry a mark etched upon the heart. What sets this dream apart is that it never promises an easy road. It does not say, "Everything will be smooth." It does not hand you a rose-covered vision. On the contrary, it brings a feeling both overwhelming and weighty. For along with the light and the calling, you also feel responsibility. A task, a burden you cannot evade. Another witness said, "In the dream, I stood before a bridge of light stretching into infinity. I hesitated because ahead was too radiant, while behind was the familiar darkness. As I wavered, the voice came again. You have a mission." I stepped onto the bridge, and in that instant I understood. My life would never be the same. I awoke knowing I had been entrusted with a duty I could not refuse. The dream of destiny is not a dream you can confuse with others. You may forget hundreds, thousands of dreams in your lifetime, but not this one. It imprints itself upon memory, not fading with the years. And when it comes, you understand this is not about a small, personal matter. This is a calling dream, a dream pulling you out of your comfort zone. It makes it impossible to keep living as before. It unsettles you, but also gives you something new, the awareness that you have a reason to exist. But here arises a chilling question. Why do only a few, the souls with a mission, see this dream? Why does it not come to everyone? If this dream is a calling, then what determines who is called and who is not? Many people believe that dreams are merely byproducts of the brain, a mixture of memories, emotions, and fragments of daily life. And indeed, most dreams fall into that category. Chaotic, vague, vanishing the moment we awaken. But there is another category of dreams that is entirely different. They do not come to reflect the past. They come to direct the future. These are mission dreams, calling dreams, and most importantly, they are never random. They are signals. Return to the image of the dreamer who sees a beam of light shining upon them, accompanied by the whisper, "You have a mission." If you treat that as nothing more than the brain inventing a scenario, you miss the essence, because the feeling that accompanies this dream is unlike any ordinary dream. It does not fade after waking. It clings, it engraves itself, and it changes the way you see yourself. This is the characteristic of a signal. A signal always carries direction, demanding response. In quantum physics, there is a concept called the observer effect. When a particle exists in a wave state, it spreads across countless possibilities. But the moment it is observed, that wave state collapses into a single result. This shows that it is the very act of observation that alters reality. Mission dreams function in a similar way. They do not appear because the brain made up a story. They appear because you have stepped into the state of being observed. In that moment, it is the quantum field, the foundational energy field, that has fixed its gaze upon you. And that gaze collapses the vague possibilities, turning your life from a chaotic stream into a clear mission. One person recounted, "I dreamed I was standing in darkness. Then a light shone down, and I heard, 'You must go east.' When I woke, I could not dismiss it. Months later, I did in fact move to the east, where I began work helping others. That dream was not my brain's invention. It was a signal pointing the way. This explains why mission dreams are often accompanied by clarity. While ordinary dreams are hazy, a calling dream is always sharp, focused, and nearly unforgettable. They are like a frequency being broadcast, and you, with your entire being, are the antenna receiving the signal. And if we push this thought further, a chilling question arises. In the observer effect, the particle collapses because it is observed. So in the calling dream, who is observing whom? You might think it is you observing the dream, turning it into a calling. But what if it is not? What if it is the quantum field or a higher level of consciousness that is observing you? If this is true, then the calling dream is not an internal creation. It is proof that you have come under the observation of the universe. And that gaze does not only signal, it empowers. It marks the moment you cease being a drifting soul and become a soul with a mission. This is why mission dreams often leave you trembling, even feeling burdened. Because once you are observed, you cannot pretend you did not hear. You cannot return to the old comfort zone. Once the signal arrives, your life is placed on a new trajectory. Think back. Have you ever dreamed a dream so vivid it forced you to change? A dream not only memorable, but one that compelled you to act. If so, then it was not random. It was a signal. But if the calling dream is a signal, and if the quantum field truly observes you through the dream, then the question is, what happens when you step through that threshold? Every calling dream carries with it a chilling moment. The moment when the dreamer stands before a threshold, a doorway. This is not a vague dream. It has structure, clarity, and it always places you in a decisive situation. Either you step through to accept the mission, or you turn away and miss it. Imagine a person walking in darkness. Before them suddenly appears a radiant door, light streaming through the cracks, flooding the space around. Their heart races, their hand trembles as it touches the surface of the door. And then they hear the voice. This is your mission. Step forward. That feeling is unlike any other dream. It is both honor and fear. Honor because you feel chosen. Fear because you know that once you step through, you will never return the same. You will have to bear a responsibility greater than yourself. One person who experienced a threshold dream recounted, I saw myself standing before a staircase of light. Each step glowed like fire. I hesitated because stepping up meant I could never go back. As I delayed, a voice echoed, You cannot stay here forever. You must climb. I woke drenched in sweat, and for the entire day I knew I had to change. The dream was not just an image. It was a choice. This is the essence of the threshold dream. It forces you to face it. You can no longer avoid it. It does not say, maybe. It says, either now or never. In the language of quantum theory, the threshold dream is like the moment just before collapse occurs. You are in a state of superposition. You can either remain in your old life or step into your mission. But when the dream appears, it pushes you to the point of choice, and that choice determines your timeline. What is striking is that the threshold dream often leaves a powerful aftershock once you wake. The dreamer not only remembers the dream, but carries the trembling feeling throughout the day, sometimes for many days. Some wake up and quit a safe job to begin a new journey. Some end an old relationship because they realize they are being pulled backward. Some begin writing, creating, or serving because they understand. They have arrived at the threshold. One woman recalled, I dreamed I was walking on a bridge of light. Below my feet was a dark abyss. I was afraid, but I knew I had to walk. When I woke, I decided to leave my stable job to pursue healing work. That dream was the threshold moment. I either accepted the mission or let it slip away. This is why the threshold dream makes many both exhilarated and terrified. It does not merely hand you light, it hands you responsibility, and it is that responsibility that makes you tremble. Because deep down, you know the dream is not playing. It is a sacred contract. And if you do not step through, many admit that when they refused or ignored the threshold dream, their lives afterward became chaotic. They felt empty, lost, as if they had turned their back on their own soul. The threshold dream does not vanish easily. It continues to haunt, to remind, sometimes returning with even greater intensity. In some cases, this dream is the greatest turning point. It is the final call before you step onto the path of mission. Once you have reached the threshold, you are no longer the same person. You either move forward or live forever in the torment of refusal. And this is what makes this dream different. It is not only beautiful, not only radiant, it carries urgency. It demands an answer. But what chills you is not only within the dream, it lies in the moment you awaken, when you begin to realize the responsibility the dream has just handed you. In many stories about calling dreams, we see a common thread. The dream does not come to those already ready for fame, wealth, or power. It often comes to ordinary people, those who never thought they could change anyone's life. And when the dream appears, it not only transforms that individual, but also radiates out to the community around them. One of the clearest examples is the story of a healer. His name was Daniel, an ordinary office worker living in a small town. His job was monotonous, repetitive. He was not the type of person with great ambition, much less someone who thought about missions or being a chosen soul. But then, one night, a dream changed everything. In the dream, Daniel found himself standing in a dark room. Before him were many people suffering. Some were sick, some collapsed, some wept silently. He was confused, not knowing what to do. Then suddenly, light appeared, shining into his palms. When he reached out his hands, the light spread to those people. Wounds disappeared, faces lit up, cries subsided. And before he could understand what was happening, a voice resounded, "This is your mission. You are a healer." Daniel awoke in panic. His heart pounded, cold sweat streaming down. He asked himself, how could someone like me ever heal others? I'm not a doctor. I have no special ability. But the dream would not let him go. It kept returning, each time more vivid. At first, Daniel dismissed it as nothing more than a strange experience. But gradually, he began to notice something. People around him, friends, co-workers, even strangers, often sought him out to unburden themselves. And strangely enough, after speaking with him, many felt lighter, finding clarity for their problems. Daniel began to understand. The dream was not about healing with medicine, but about healing through presence, through words, through inner light. One day, when a close friend fell into crisis, Daniel sat beside him and listened. He gave no specific advice. He only held his hand and stayed. Later, the friend said, "When I sat with you, I felt as if a gentle energy surrounded me. I felt safe. I felt healed." In that moment, Daniel understood. The dream was not random. It was the signal of a true mission. Through the lens of quantum theory, Daniel's experience reflected the principle of entanglement, quantum entanglement. Two particles can be connected regardless of distance. A change in one instantly affects the other. Daniel's dream seemed to have entangled him with the people he was destined to touch in the future. It was not merely imagery, but a bond between his soul and the souls of those who needed him. In other words, the dream did not simply inform Daniel that he had a mission. It already connected him with the very people who would need his healing. From that moment on, every action, every choice he made was no longer only for himself, but also for those tied to him through that invisible thread. This experience reveals an important truth. A calling dream does not merely assign you a task. It grants you connection. It does not tell you what you will do in the future in abstract terms. It draws you into the network of other souls, as if to remind you, you do not live only for yourself. Daniel's story is just one example, but it opens a larger question. If one dream can awaken a healer, could it also awaken other forms of mission? Could there be dreams that awaken a leader, a warrior, a creator? Souls sent to guide, to fight, or to create for humanity? One of the most important truths about calling dreams is this: they do not appear to everyone. Millions of people sleep each night, Billions of dreams pass through, fading without a trace. But mission dreams are different. They come only to a few, the souls who have reached a certain state. This is the selection of souls. The question is, why? Why do only a few hear the calling, while most do not? The answer lies in resonance, the frequency resonance of the soul. In quantum physics, the phenomenon of frequency resonance shows this. When one object vibrates at a certain frequency, it causes another object of the same frequency to vibrate in harmony. A guitar string struck can make another resonate. Mission dreams operate the same way. When your soul reaches the right frequency, a vibration that is open enough, high enough, ready enough, it resonates with the quantum field. And in that resonance, the dream appears as a synchronizing signal. This means that a calling dream is not a random reward. It is proof that your soul has reached the point where the mission can no longer be delayed. You are ready, and therefore, you are called. One person recounted that for many years of drifting, they never had any special dream. But during a time of great crisis, when they were forced to face themselves, when they released their fear and yearned for purpose, the dream came. In the dream, they heard the call, "Your time has come." They awoke and began an entirely new journey. For them, the dream had not come earlier because they did not yet have the resonance. It appeared only when they vibrated at the right frequency. This also explains why many share the experience that calling dreams often appear at turning points in life. When they are about to give up, when they are in deepest suffering, or when they have gathered enough yearning to change. These states lift the soul's frequency to a new level, and the dream arrives as the affirmation, "The time has come." Pause and ask yourself, have you ever dreamed a vivid dream that urged you to change your life? A dream that made it impossible to keep living the old way, forcing you onto a new path? If so, that may be the sign that you belong among the chosen souls. You are not here by accident. This also leads to an important consequence. Selection is not just a privilege, but a responsibility. Because if you are chosen, it means the world needs you. The mission is not a gift for you to keep to yourself. It is the task you must carry out, to connect, to give back, to guide, or to heal. Some people feel anxious when they realize they have been chosen. They ask, "Why me? I don't have enough ability." But that is the very nature of selection. It does not come to those who think they are already enough. It comes to those whose souls have resonated at the right frequency. And once the dream arrives, the ability will be given accordingly. In many ancient cultures, it was believed that only those who were called would have special dreams. Dreams of meeting deities, dreams of light, dreams of mission. These dreams were regarded as proof that they carried a mission. And from that moment on, they were no longer ordinary individuals, but a link in a greater plan. If you have ever seen such a dream, what will you do with it? Will you ignore it, dismissing it as coincidence? Or will you accept it as a calling from the depths of your soul? And if the dream truly comes only to souls with resonance, then perhaps you need to look closely at yourself. Are you here by chance? Or have you been chosen? Up until now, we have spoken of the calling dream as a personal experience. The light, the voice, the feeling of being chosen. But if you step back and look more broadly, you will see something chilling. These dreams have appeared throughout human history. Not only a few modern individuals, but prophets, shamans, and ancient leaders all experienced dreams that called them into mission. This is no longer just a personal phenomenon. This is a cultural code, the cultural code of mission. In the Bible, stories of dreams and callings appear repeatedly. The prophet Samuel, when still a boy, heard a voice calling in his sleep, "Samuel, Samuel." At first, he thought it was his teacher's voice, but when he realized it was the voice of God, Samuel understood he had a greater mission. From then on, his life was tied to the role of prophet, guiding his people. Dreams, or midnight callings, were not just private spiritual experiences, but confirmations that a soul had been chosen for a sacred task. In Native American tribes, shamans often told of the dream that began their journey. A young man, never having thought of becoming a healer or spiritual guide, might dream of an animal spirit appearing. The wolf, the eagle, or the bear would step into the dream, look straight into his eyes, and deliver a message. You will carry this power to lead your community. When he woke, he was no longer an ordinary person. He began ritual training, learned to heal, and became a shaman. In their culture, such a dream was never dismissed. It was the required seal for someone to be recognized as a bearer of mission. In the East, many ancient kings also spoke of destiny dreams before ascending the throne. Some dreamed of a dragon soaring into the sky, the supreme symbol of power and divine mandate. Others dreamed of gods placing a sword or crown into their hands. These dreams were not seen merely as personal signs, but as confirmation that an entire dynasty, an entire people, had entered a new timeline. In China, this was called the mandate of heaven, and dreams were among the most powerful channels through which that mandate was delivered. Even in ancient Egyptian civilizations, pharaohs often spoke of dreams where gods appeared to them, granting symbols of power or instruction. One pharaoh dreamed that the sun god Ra placed a blazing scepter in his hand, and afterward, he led the nation into an age of prosperity. The dream was not just an omen, but a transfer of power and responsibility from a higher source of energy. Looking at these examples, what do you see? The calling dream is not limited by culture, religion, or geography. Whether in the West or the East, among nomadic tribes or mighty empires, the structure of the mission dream remains the same. A calling, a symbol, a responsibility bestowed. This shows that the calling dream is not a random phenomenon. It is an archetype, a pattern embedded in the collective unconscious of humanity. Carl Jung once said that human beings share timeless archetypal images, and the mission dream seems to be one of them. It is like a universal language through which the universe speaks to souls who are ready. Now you must rise. Through the lens of quantum theory, the calling dream can be seen as a signal from the quantum field sent into individuals who resonate with the frequency of an era. When an individual reaches resonance, they do not only collapse their personal timeline, but also synchronize with a larger process. The dream, therefore, not only reveals their personal mission, but also acts as a signal for a community, even for an epoch. The calling dream does not belong only to you. It may belong to a people, to a civilization, even to all of humanity. And so the chilling question arises: if the mission dream is not just the call of an individual, but the signal of an entire era, then we, who are living in this very moment, what are we being called to do? There is one thing you must understand clearly. The calling dream does not come for you to sit, reflect, and then forget. It does not arrive to give you a fleeting sense of beauty. It comes for you to answer. And it is your answer that determines whether you step into your mission or are pushed into spirals of suffering. Throughout history, countless people have said they once received a mission dream, but they ignored it. They dismissed it as an illusion, a trick of the mind. And then, Their lives began to fracture. When you turn your back on the mission dream, you are not only rejecting an opportunity, you are rejecting the very reason for your soul's existence. Listen to Maya's story. She was an ordinary teacher, living a quiet life. One night, she dreamed she stood among hundreds of students, light radiating from her hands, healing the fears in each child's eyes. In the dream, she heard a voice. "This is your mission. You must guide them." But upon waking, Maya shook her head. She told herself, "It's just a dream. I don't have that power." She went on with her daily work. But from then on, her life felt strange. She gradually lost her joy, began to feel empty. The dreams returned, this time harsher. The children screaming, her hands trembling but unable to release the light. Eventually, she fell into deep depression. Only when faced with the abyss of despair did Maya remember the first dream and begin to act. She started a support group for abused children, and it was then that the darkness within her slowly dissolved. This story proves a stern truth. If you ignore the calling dream, the universe will call you again, but through pain. Because the mission does not vanish when you refuse it. It remains, and it will knock again, harder, harsher, until you open the door. In quantum physics, there is a concept called decoherence. When a system loses synchronization, it falls into chaos. Your soul works the same way. When you are not in sync with the mission dream, you fall into decoherence. Your life becomes chaotic, directionless. You feel as though you no longer belong anywhere. That is why urgency always accompanies the calling dream. It does not say, "You can do it whenever you want." It says, "You must do it now." Here are 3 principles you cannot forget. Don't ignore. The mission dream does not come to decorate your memory. It comes to change your life. Don't deny. Many see the dream as too big, too foreign to who they think they are, so they reject it. But denial does not erase the dream. It only turns into crisis. Don't run. You may try to keep busy, filling your life with other things, but the calling will return, fiercer than before. Another person once said, "I dreamed I stood in the middle of a vast crowd and a voice rang out, 'You must lead.' I woke in fear because I had never been a leader. I ran from the dream. But then my work collapsed, my relationships fell apart. Only when I accepted a leadership role in a community project did things begin to stabilize. I understood then that I had been called, and I could not keep running." That is exactly what the calling dream is. It gives you a task, but also places urgency on your shoulders. It does not let you sit still. It does not allow you to sleep through it. It repeats, grows stronger, until you are forced to answer. But here lies the greater secret. If you answer the dream, if you dare to say yes, what opens for you is not only a new path, it is also a power that has never before been awakened within you, a source of energy you never knew you had. And that power does not only change you, it changes those around you. So will you ignore the dream and let it call you through pain? Or will you answer it now and step into the true power of your soul? After the mission dream appears, most people fall into a state of tension. Their heart races, fear seeps in, and the great question echoes. Am I truly capable of carrying this responsibility? That is a natural reaction. Because the calling dream does not just give you a task, it places a burden on you. Yet what many fail to realize is this: the dream also gives you the energy to prepare. The dream never comes to put you in an impossible situation. It does not arrive to plant despair within you. It comes to awaken the inner flame, to let you know you already carry the seed of the strength required. You only need to nurture it and let it ignite. Imagine you dream of a small flame sparking inside your chest. When you wake, you feel a quiet heat, a strange urge. That flame is not an illusion. It is the symbol of new energy that the dream has stirred. It reminds you, you are not complete, but you are enough to begin. One person shared, "In my dream, I saw myself sitting beside a still lake. At the bottom was a glowing stone. I reached down and picked it up. When I held it, light spread throughout my body. I woke with a peace I had never known. From that day on, I began meditating daily. I realized the dream did not just give me a mission. It gave me the tool to prepare. This is the essence of inner preparation. The dream does not only say, do it, but also brings you into the state that allows you to begin preparing. It plants within you calm, a new energy, a deep certainty that you can take the step. From a quantum perspective, this is the moment you enter coherence, a state of synchronization. Where once your mind was chaotic, fearful, doubtful, the dream appears as a point of reordering. It gathers all the scattered pieces of you and sets them into one rhythm. And when you are in coherence, you are ready to resonate with the timeline of your mission. Pause for a moment right now. Close your eyes and remember the most powerful dream you ever had. How did it change the way you saw yourself? Did it plant within you a spark, a belief, or a decision? If so, that was the preparatory energy the dream had given you. The important thing is not to mistake inner preparation for delay. You must not sit waiting until you feel completely ready. You will never be completely ready, but inner preparation gives you a solid foundation, peace, focus, and the sense that you are no longer alone. One healer shared, "After the dream, I spent weeks just sitting in silence. At first, I thought I was wasting time. But then I realized that silence was the stage of preparation. I learned to listen, to connect with the energy within me, and only when I was at peace could I begin to heal others." This is the hidden gift of the calling dream. It does not only place the burden on your shoulders, it grants you a subtle energy, a synchronization, so that you have the strength to carry it. It is like a strict yet loving teacher, giving you the exam while secretly placing the key in your hand. And perhaps the most important part of inner preparation is that it reminds you that you are not alone. When the dream appears, it means you have been connected with a greater field of energy, where countless other souls also carry missions. You are not a separate individual. You are part of a network. And it is this very connection that is the source of infinite strength. Will you dare to believe that the dream does not only give you the mission, but also the energy to prepare? If you believe, you will realize the flame in your heart has already been lit. And as you nurture that flame, it will grow strong enough to lead you to the final step, the convergence of mission. Every calling dream, from the first light to the whispers, from fear to peace, leads to a single moment, the convergence. This is the point where all the scattered fragments gather together, arranging themselves into a complete picture. And when you look at that picture, you no longer doubt. You know, this is your mission. Convergence is not merely a beautiful image in a dream. It is the powerful collision between dream and reality. It is the moment you realize that the threshold you once stood before, the selection you went through, the urgency you felt, and the inner preparation you just experienced, all were not separate steps. They were all designed to lead you to this moment. In quantum physics, this is the collapse point. Before it, you lived in superposition, existing in countless possibilities. You could continue your old life or step into an entirely new timeline. But when convergence arrives, all those possibilities contract into a single outcome. You are no longer the ambiguous one, no longer standing between paths. You become a soul with a clear mission. One person shared, "I dreamed that I stood before a volcano erupting. Chaos surrounded me. But as I walked closer, the lava transformed into light, and from within the light, a path appeared. I understood that this path was my mission. When I awoke, I no longer hesitated. I knew I had to become the one to guide my community." For him, that dream was convergence. All chaos collapsed, all choices disappeared, leaving only one path. Convergence often comes with an absolute sense of certainty, not blind faith, but a profound knowing. You do not need external proof, nor anyone's confirmation. You simply know, and know to the core. This is the greatest difference. While life is usually full of doubt, convergence gives you an unshakable clarity. But this convergence does not affect only you. It also touches those around you. Because when you step into mission, you carry a radiating energy. You do not only collapse your own timeline, you synchronize with the timelines of connected souls. This is entanglement at the level of mission. You are linked with those who will walk with you, those you will touch, and those who are waiting for you to change their lives. Across many cultures, this convergence has always been remembered through symbols. A shaman tells that after the dream of light, they were no longer just an individual, but a bridge between the human world and the spirit world. A leader recounts that after dreaming of being handed a sword by the gods, they no longer lived for themselves, but for their entire people. Convergence is the moment of shifting from I to we, from individual to collective mission. And this is what makes convergence the pivotal point. It forces you to choose. Will you step in and live as a soul with a mission? Or will you turn away, clinging to the old life? There is no middle road. Once the dream has brought you to convergence, rejection will leave a greater emptiness than ever before. Ask yourself, have you ever experienced a moment when everything seemed to synchronize? Dreams, events, emotions, and intuition, all speaking the same thing? If so, that was convergence. And that moment does not come for you to doubt, it comes for you to act. The frightening thing is not that convergence will not come. It always comes. The frightening thing is that you might miss it, pretending it does not exist. But if you are brave enough to look it in the eye, you will understand. You were sent here for a reason. You no longer have to ask, "What was I born to do?" The dream has answered for you. So when that convergence appears in your life, what will you do? Will you step in, or will you turn away? If you have ever seen this dream, understand clearly. You are not here by accident. You are not just a drifting individual among countless souls. You are one of the few who have been called. You carry within you a mission. The calling dream is not an illusion. It is the final transmission from the quantum field, reminding you of the reason for your presence in this life. It does not come many times, and it does not come to everyone. It comes to place upon you a responsibility, to step into the path your soul chose before you were even born. Therefore, do not ignore it. Do not dismiss it. Do not tell yourself that you are not enough, or that it was just a meaningless dream. If you have seen this dream, you have already been prepared. You have resonated with the frequency of mission. And now, the choice belongs to you, to answer the call or to miss it. Remember, not everyone is chosen. But if you are chosen, it means the world is waiting for you. Your mission will not only transform you, it may transform the people you touch, and even an entire community. And before we close, keep in mind this crucial reminder. Not every dream comes to call you into mission. Some dreams appear to signal something entirely different.